what a night that was. I can't even remember the Champions League draw. Right, where's my phone? No phone. Hopefully that's not the only thing I've lost. Right. Get these glasses straight, looks a bit respectable. Who is in our group? Dude, who's in our group? Try and remember. Anyone? Anyone remember who's in our Champions League group? No one? Oh dear. Okay, this is good. It's good.
Looking for trouble and fights, but you found me. No, I'm a screw up, but baby, I'm glad you're someone to rely on, someone to rely on. No, I'm a screw up, but baby, I could be someone to rely on, someone to rely on, someone to rely on.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 169 of Husavik Heroes here on Shaun Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and coming up in today's episode we reveal who we do have in our Champions League group for the 2035-26 season, and off the back of that we are playing Famalicão in our first game of that group stage, a team who I did say yesterday you might be able to recognise when you did see the thumbnail. Not too sure if that is actually the case, but they are out of Portugal. And off the back of that, we are also going to take on Valur in the Icelandic Cup Mjólkurbikarinn final. And before then, we'll also see if there are any other Icelandic teams in the group stages of the lower UEFA competition. So if you are looking forward to today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video. And if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But we had not quite got to the Champions League group stage draw come the end of yesterday's episode, which did have in it our squad overview, a transfer update, as well as, of course, the UEFA Super Cup, where we did take on Arsenal. If you missed that episode, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. But now it is time for us to show you guys what the groups do look like for the Champions League this season. I'll get editing Shaun to put up what things did look like when the draw was taking place here. You can see exactly what pot each team did come out of in the end. We have got a very, very favourable group here for the Champions League this season, one which I dare say we should be going through unbeaten and finishing on top of. Alongside us, we have Dortmund, who we bet in the first knockout round of the Champions League last season fairly comfortably. Obviously, beating them in the first league when they were down to 10 men did help us out there, but I'd like to think that we can get the wood over those guys both home and away. And alongside that, we have two teams who came out of qualifying, Famalicão from Portugal, as well as Oostende out of Belgium. So that is quite a nice draw for us. We should definitely be making our way through to the Champions League knockout sheet again. And as I said, based on how we performed against Dortmund in the first knockout round, when we did win the Champions League last season, we should probably be topping this group as well, and doing so without dropping many points at all. And most of the other groups in the Champions League this season do look fairly clear-cut, and teams who should be making their way out of those groups. Group B, Chelsea and PSG. Group C, Man City alongside Inter Milan. Group D, Real Madrid do look like the standout in that one, with Hertha Berlin and Napoli probably being the teams which will fight it out for that second place. Group E, Arsenal and Juventus should be making their way out of that one, even with Real Sociedad in there. Barcelona look like the standout team in Group F. Maybe Benfica or Lille should be the other team coming out of that group. Group G should be one of Man United or AC Milan. In Group H, Bayern Munich and Liverpool do look like the obvious choices out of those groups. Hopefully, if we do top our group like we should, we can avoid getting someone out of one of those groups like Group H, or potentially out of Group B as well. I think those might be the groups where the second ranked team might be a little bit stronger than those other ones. But a very nice group for us here for the Champions League this upcoming season. Dortmund, Oostende, and our opposition in today's episode in Famalicão. But before we have a look at those guys, we are just going to have a quick look and see what happened to the other Icelandic teams who we did have in European playoffs. Fylkir in the Europa League, as well as HK in the Conference League. Fylkir, of course, they took on a team which did finish above them in their Conference League group last season in Horsens. This was tied up at 1-1 after the first leg in Iceland, but unfortunately they suffered a 2-0 defeat in the second leg. So rather expectedly, AC Horsens do defeat Fylkir, but that does still mean that Fylkir are going to be in the group stages of the Conference League for a second straight season. And joining them in the Conference League group stages are going to be HK. They did lose out in both Champions League qualifying and Europa League qualifying when we did do a recap in yesterday's episode. Thankfully, though, they did win their Conference League playoff against Cherno Morvana out of Bulgaria. They picked up a 1-0 win in the home league and then travelled away from home and picked up a 2-1 win. So they go through 3-1 on aggregate. So that does mean we have 2 teams in the group stages of the Conference League this season. And here are what the Conference League groups do look like. So first off, we make our way down to Group C, where you can see Phil Keir there. They are alongside Rheindorf, Altec out of Austria, Bayer Leverkusen out of Germany. They are obviously the big dogs in that group, and also Botev Plovdiv out of Bulgaria, in behind Bayer Leverkusen. I think that group is well and truly open for that second qualifying spot. So hopefully, after making their way through to this stage last season, Phil Keir can do a little bit better and potentially make their way through to the Conference League knockouts. And if we go down just a little bit further, hopefully I'm not blocking this with my head, but in Group G, you will find HK Leeds United in that group alongside them. So they're the team which is probably going to finish top of that group, but their rivals for that second qualifying spot, MSK Zelina out of Slovakia, as well as Lyngby BK out of Denmark. Based on how HK have done so far in Europe in this save, that does look like a group which they can hopefully get out of as well. So potentially we could get 2 teams through to the knockouts of the Conference League this season. I expect HK to make their way through, even though they were a little bit shaky in the early stages of European qualifying this season. I think they should be better than both Zelina and Lyngby there, but Phil Keir, I think, could potentially sneak their way through to the knockouts as well, albeit they might need to improve their performance just a little bit based on what we've seen of them so far in Europe in this save. But we are about to play our first game of the Champions League group stage against Famalicão. Before we do get into that, a quick domestic recap. When you caught us up in yesterday's episode, we did play the Super Cup against Arsenal, picked that up to go alongside our Champions League, with in the end quite a comfortable 5-1 win. And off the back of that, we've been very convincing domestically, picking up a 6-1 win in that Mjólkurbikarinn semi-final against Breidablik. That does mean we are taking on Valur in the second game of today's episode. They defeated Phil Keir 2-1 after extra time, so that does set up the Icelandic Cup final for later on in today's episode. And in and around that, we did win our other 4 domestic league games, and that does mean that we haven't quite wrapped up the title just yet, but us and HK already that far in front of Nuts KR, Phil Keir and Akranes, currently in those other European spots that we have guaranteed ourselves Champions League qualification for next season. Even if HK did somehow find a way to overtake us with that game in hand, which we do have, we should really be wrapping up the league title, if not during today's episode, not too long off the back of that. But what that does mean is that we do have our transfer budget already set for the next window, which does open all the way forward in February 2036. We did have about £17.5 million left over in our transfer budget once we did all that business, which we did recap early on in yesterday's episode. The budget has not been topped up that much, but it's a decent budget, £48.5 million we have to spend in this upcoming transfer window, as well as a wage budget just shy of £130,000. We can certainly improve the squad should we need to with that amount of money. But today we are going to start off our group stage journey in the Champions League this season. There is that group yet again, as you can see, quite a kind group for us there. And we kick things off taking on the lowest ranked team based on the pot system in our group this season. That is Famalicão out of Portugal. They've got very little domestic success over in Portugal. They made their way through qualifying this season after finishing second in behind Benfica in the league over there this season. 4-star reputation club, but as you can see, no top honours there in Portugal. So this should really be a team that we are beating, even though that reputation is quite high. No manager, no key players showing up on their club info page. This does look like quite weak opposition for us based on that for our Champions League group this season. And also it is a home game as well, so one that we should definitely be winning, of course, being the defending champions in this competition. And Famalicão currently do find themselves 7th in the Portuguese league, just outside European spots, albeit after only 5 games played. But as I said, definitely a team based on what I've seen of them and what I can tell here by club info and the league standings that we should be beating. In terms of us going into this one, we go into it without any injury concerns at all. So we'll come back shortly and run through the team sheets from my arena as we kick off our Champions League defence in the group stages, taking on Famalicão. And here are the team sheets for our first game in the group stages in our Champions League title defence. We have our best 11 out there, pretty similar to the team which we did put out, at least in terms of the starting 11, to what we had against Arsenal in yesterday's episode. Famalicão going with a 4-4-1-1, albeit not too familiar with many of their players, and hopefully we can put our foot down early in this group and get off to a good start. And we have to go all the way forward to the 21-minute mark for our first proper highlight of this one. It was a corner there to Famalicão. Denali on a yellow card does deal with that, and we get the ball forward to Basaroge, and now Agatigere makes his way inside the box, just holds things up here. We'll square this for Adam Saki. We have been well on top of them so far in this game stats-wise. Did have an early highlight 1 minute, and it was a set piece, which we did blaze over the bar quite comfortably, but with that first proper highlight, we put the ball in the back of the net, and based on the stats, which you should see shortly, it is well and truly deserved. Good counter-attack there off the Famalicão corner, and Adam Saki puts that away off of the ball from Agatigere, and that makes it 1-0 Völsungur just past the 20-minute mark. And about 10 minutes shy of half-time, we have our next highlight. It does start off with a goal kick in our favour as we do look to play out from the back, still right on top of Famalicão in this one, but potentially we should have a bit more of a comfortable lead based on how we are playing and the fact that Famalicão have not threatened us too much so far in this first half, but we try and get on the front foot here, play a ball forward to Adam Saki, but Spencer will head that one back to Simcoe in goal for Famalicão, and they will look to clear this. They pump this inside the final third, and they do get the ball here on the front foot. Do Famalicão. Sadie makes his way inside the final third, puts this one into the mix, but thankfully Denali gets his head on the end of that, but Spencer does reclaim position here for Famalicão, albeit good interception there from Louis Herrera, and a nice ball forward there for Adam Saki, and he will chip the goalkeeper into the bottom right corner. Wasn't quite sure who that highlight was going to be in favour of there for a while, especially with Famalicão in possession for quite a bit of that one, but a good counter-attacking goal. Yet again, Herrera heads that one forward to Mizkic. Nice ball over the top for Adam Saki. He chips the goalkeeper, and that makes it 2-0 Völsungur with just under 10 minutes left in this first half. And immediately off the back of that previous goal, we have the restart here from Famalicão. So hopefully, just in the last few minutes here of this first half, we can start to put the foot down against our Portuguese opposition. Hopefully, we have broken them here. Vinhas takes some time on the ball. Bayer gets possession back for us, tries to put that top left corner just over the bar. A good chance, but still 2-0 with about 5 minutes left of this first half. And just about to enter injury time here in this first half, and Famalicão will look to play out from the back. Vinhas here taking time on the ball, and yet again an interception, this time from Dumbia, but it's a pretty weak shot. So a few good late chances for us there after getting the ball back inside the Famalicão half. We can't quite take them, but in the end, a good solid first half potentially. Should have scored one more goal there based on those late chances, which we did get, but so far it's a good solid performance, albeit hopefully we can kick on a little bit more in the second half. We'll play things safe here at halftime, take off Denali on that yellow card, and Waswa can come on for him. I think we'll leave him on that right-hand side, seeing as he is 1.96 meters tall, but that will be our only change there at halftime. Hopefully we can kick on a little bit more in the second half and build up that goal differential as we hold a 2-0 lead. And just past the hour mark, we have our first highlight here of the second half as we look to play out from the back, albeit we are quite forward here and start to make our way inside the Famalicão half, still well and truly on top of them here stats-wise. Hopefully we can extend our scoreline. Nice ball there for Agatigere. Slide tackle falls to Bayer, and what a strike that is. Gets enough curve on that to put that inside that near post from our side, and that makes it 3-0 with about a half hour left. So far, Bayer was on an average rating in this one, but that will surely shoot that up nicely. Nice ball from him for Agatigere. Good slide tackle there from Spencer, and then one heck of a strike from outside the box there from our new French midfielder, and that makes it 3-0. And only a few minutes off the back of that third goal, we do have a free kick here. Dumbia puts this far post. They hit it clear there through Sidey, but Bayer off the back of that very nice strike will get possession back for us here, and Louis Herrera starts to make his way inside the final third. Some lovely short passing. In the end, it is Lasana Dumbia who will get the assist, and Agustin Agatigere rockets that into the top right corner, and it looks like we might be starting to kick into gear around a similar time as we did in that Super Cup against Arsenal yesterday, and that makes it 4-0 with still 25 minutes left. Some good short passing here off the back of Herrera driving forward, and nice finish there from Agatigere, and just like that, it goes from 2-0 to 4-0 with about 25 minutes left.
Yeah.
And up to the 71-minute mark, we were about to take off Lasana Doumbia as he went down to a red heart, but unfortunately, Ognjar Mizkic has gone off with a red injury. So Costa's coming on for Doumbia anyway, but Jonata will also come on for Mizkic. Hopefully, that one's not too serious as it's still 4-0 with 20 minutes left in this one. And only a few minutes off the back of those last few substitutions. One of those, though, was unplanned there for Mizkic. Hopefully, that one is not too bad of an injury, even though it was a red one. Hopefully, that is not too bad, as I said, because he is quite a good player these days, rated at 4-star current ability and potential, albeit we do still have depth in that position. Hans Vos can cover out there, as well as Jonata. And we also do have Odegaard, who can step in from our under-18s. Decent chance there for Bayer to pick up a double, but a decent save there from the Famalicão goalkeeper. But we do have a corner off the back of that, which Costa puts into the mix a bit. Waswa just puts that over the bar. Still 4-0 with just under 15 minutes left. And not too long off the back of that previous chance from the corner, we are back on the attack here inside the final third. Saki plays that all the way back to Waswa, who has also picked up a yellow card, of course, after he came on for a yellow carded Denali at halftime. But Bruno Costa, nice ball over here for Bayer, and he'll bury that past the goalkeeper at his near side. He picks up a double, goes alongside that very good goal he scored to kick things off here in the second half, and we are really kicking into gear here in the second half. We were a little bit rusty in that first half, even though we were well and truly on top of Famalicão. Thought we could have got a few more goals in that half, but this half we have been a lot more efficient with our finishing, and Bayer will pick up a double. That makes it 5-0 with 10 minutes left. And with about 5 minutes left in this one, Famalicão start to play out from the back from this new highlight, albeit they pump it deep, and Ramadan immediately gets us back inside the opposition half, playing that one forward to Guy and then to Louis Herrera. And again, he's going to go back out to Basro Guy, up to Bayer. Nice ball over the top there for Agatigere, just inside that near post. He also picks himself up a double, and that makes it 6-0 on the day. Bayer having one heck of a game now, 2 goals as well as that assist. And as I said before, really starting to find our flow here in the second half and showing our class edge here over the qualifying team. Agatigere with a nice finish, 6-0 Völsungur with only 5 minutes left. And we are about to enter injury time in this one. Very, very convincing performance, as you would expect, of course, from the European champions. In the end, we pick up a very comfortable 6-0 win thanks to doubles from Saki, Agatigere, and Bayer. In the end, Agatigere picks up man of the match, but arguably one of him or Bayer could have picked that up with very similar stat lines. And pretty much everyone who played in that game with a good rating, Denali and Jonata aside. The one concern, how serious is that injury to Mizkic that was picked up with about 20 minutes left? But we'll get through the post-match interview. It might actually give us a little bit of a hint as to how bad that injury to Mizkic was, but in the end, Famalicão could not really threaten us at all in that game, just one shot on target. And in the end, despite a little bit of a scratchy first half, we got on top of things in the second half, and indeed that could be quite a serious injury there to Mizkic. It's a broken ankle, so we'll go forward a little bit before we do a bit of a recap before the cup final, because we were the early kickoff today as well, so Dortmund and Ostende are still yet to play. So we'll just go forward here and see how long Mizkic is going to be out with that broken ankle. And Mizkic is pretty much gone for the rest of this calendar year. He's going to be missing for 4 to 5 months once we do send him to the specialists. And Mizkic is out for the rest of this group stage. It might be quite lucky because of that we have got quite a weak group. Of course, we do have the likes of Jonata, Christian Odegaard, as well as Hans Vos, who can cover that left-hand side. So we do still have decent depth there out on the left wing. So it's not the end of the world, but that's one of our better players gone for the rest of this Champions League group stage, albeit, as I said, hopefully we still get through this one unscathed and can finish top of the group. But he is going to be going to see a specialist after breaking his ankle, a big injury in only our first game of the group stages this season. We'll come back in a little bit, check in on what happened in the other game on this match day in our group, as well as check in on Phil Kerr and HK on their first match week in the Europa League before we take on Valur in the Icelandic Cup final. And we have gone forward prior to this Icelandic Cup final. A quick update on what our group does look like after the late kickoff on that match week where we did kick things off early. We are on top of the group thanks to that very good goal differential, which we did pick up against Famalicão, but as expected, Dortmund did win the other game, albeit by quite a narrow scoreline there. against Ostende, an early second half goal there to Elgaten means that they pick up a 1-0 win. So at the moment, us and Dortmund joint on top of this group. And coming up in tomorrow's episode, we will travel away to take on both Ostende and Dortmund. That second game could be quite important in trying to establish ourselves on top of the group, especially as the next match after that is going to be at home against Dortmund. If we can pick up wins, or at least the majority of points in those two games, that should go a long way to ensuring that we can finish on top of this group. But while we're looking at Europe, we'll go down to the Conference League and check in on how the other Icelandic teams got on in the first match week. And we'll start off with Phil Keir's group. Unfortunately, they took on Rheindorf Altek there in Austria, and they got off to a terrible start in the game. At least they conceded 3 goals in the first 20 minutes. They did come back with goals to Fabrizio, a player who is on loan from us, as well as Sigurdsson, but unfortunately they couldn't quite reel in Rheindorf Altek, and they suffer a 3-2 defeat there, albeit away from home in their first game of the Conference League group stage. They currently find themselves in third, thanks to their slightly better goal differential after that first match week, with Bayer Leverkusen putting a slightly bigger hurting there on Botev Plovdiv out of Bulgaria. And now over to Group G, where HK do reside. Sorry if that got a bit choppy, but I just got an update about the house which we're getting built there, so I thought I'd be able to deal with that quickly halfway through that update on Phil Keir. But HK did pick up points on the first match week, and it was away from home as well when they took on Lyngby of Denmark. They pick up a 1-1 draw, albeit they were ahead for about 15 minutes of that game, but still a decent result there, and that means that they are currently in a qualifying position in that group, with Leeds United having picked up a 4-0 win over Zelina. Hopefully HK can keep themselves in that spot, albeit probably going to drop down the table just a little bit on the next match week when they do take on Leeds United, albeit that game is in Iceland. If they can somehow find a way to pick up points in that one, that would take them a long way, hopefully, towards getting out of that group. But encouraging signs from HK on the first match week, not quite so much from Phil Keir, but neither team are out of the race just yet after only one match week. But what we have done off the back of that first game in the group stages of the Champions League, play one more game in the islands deal, and picked up a 5-0 win over Breidablik, so a fairly similar scoreline there to what we picked up against them in that Mjólkurbikarinn semi-final, and that does mean we are right on the verge of picking up the league title yet again here in Iceland. We just need one more point from our next 3 league games that are remaining in this season, or HK, if they drop any points, that will hand us the domestic title here in Iceland. And quite ironically, that next game is going to be a rematch of this upcoming cup final, which we are playing against currently 10th place Valur, albeit they are already safe with both Fram and Leiknir being relegated. But Valur, as you can see by the table there, really struggling this season, all the way down in 10th. So this should be a team we are capable of beating. It does look like quite a suitable cup final for us. Just a few changes in terms of our personnel for this game. We're putting out exactly the same main lineup that we put out for that Champions League game, with there being no foreign player restrictions for the domestic cup. But Fredrik Larsson is going to start in this one at left wing, Hans Voss on the bench as our wing cover. That's because Joe Nutter is on a heavy workload at the moment, and we need him available for those Champions League games. So we'll make sure that he is all good to go off the back of that injury to Mizkic here against Famalicão, but Larsson does come in for him. But apart from that, pretty similar lineup, just a little bit less of a bench with only 5 players available for the cup games here. And we'll come back shortly and hopefully more or less make it 6 trophies this season as we try and pick up the Icelandic Cup yet again against Valur. And we have to wait until just past the half-hour mark for our first highlight of this cup final, albeit we get possession back there shortly off the back of a throw for Valur and play that forward to Adam Saki, albeit doesn't quite link up against the Valur team, who are playing a formation of a 5-2-1-2, so 5 at the back. Will be interesting to see how we do get on against that formation, but hopefully we can do a job against the team who have just finished outside the relegation zone in the domestic league this season. We start to get on the front foot here through Bayer, gets out to Herrera back in there for Bayer. Some good passing. Agatire runs onto that. The Valur defense don't pick him up in time. He puts that away in the bottom right corner, and with the first main highlight of this game, even though it has taken quite a while, we do make it 1-0 here. Just past the half-hour mark, some good short passing, and Bayer just rolls run through there, and Valur don't quite pick up Agatire as soon as they potentially should have. he puts that away and makes it 1-0 Völsungur with about 15 minutes left of the first half. And it is half-time in this Icelandic Cup final, just that one highlight which did result in a goal to Íþróttafélagið, pretty similar to that previous game against Famalicão so far. We probably should have a bit more comfortable of a scoreline going into the second half based on those stats, but we'll tell the boys to just make sure that we see things out, give them a little bit of a rack up here at half-time, tell them we have faith in them, and hopefully we can improve a little bit more here come the second half and kick on a bit. And we do have a highlight immediately from the restart as Valur try and get the action back underway here as they try and make their way into our half, but are forced to play out from the back, play a ball over the top, but Denali will win that in the air, and Fredrik Larsson controls possession for us here, and hopefully we can get off to a nice fast start here in the second half and grab a cushion goal just to make sure that we don't get FM'd here by Valur. Nice ball over the top there for Íþróttafélagið. Dumbia tries to take the shot on. It comes off the post, so we go close, but still 1-0 early in the second half of this cup final. And just past the hour mark, we do have a free kick here. Krollo puts this in towards the far post, and Fredrik Larsson buries that past the goalkeeper. 40 might be offside there because that highlight did start very, very suddenly, but it is a goal, and that is that cushion that we were looking for. And Fredrik Larsson, coming back into this first rotation for the first time in a long time, picks up a goal, and there's that cushion that we're looking for. 2-0 Völsungur with 25 minutes left. And very shortly off the back of that second goal with 25 minutes left, we have a throw in here and start to make our way back inside the Valur half. Hopefully we can kick back into gear here and get on the front foot, very similar to what we did do against Famalicão in that first game of the Champions League group stage. And Adam Saki goes close there. That comes off the underside of the crossbar. Will go out for a goal kick, but we're well and truly getting on the front foot now. 2-0 up with just over 20 minutes left. And up to the 69-minute mark, and we do have another free kick here. Íþróttafélagið puts that into the mix. Alessandro Dumbia with a chance. It just goes high and wide. But off the back of that, I think we are going to make a substitution. So far in this one, Adam Saki not quite performing as well as we know that he can. Heiko Kunzi will come on for him, and we are still up by 2-0 with 20 minutes left. And only a few minutes off the back of that first substitution, time for our second one. Busaroge down to a red hat, Elaine Basicki, who these days very comparable in terms of attributes to Busaroge. He will come on for him, still with that 2-0 lead and 18 minutes left. And only a few minutes off the back of that second substitution, we are back in possession here and hopefully can make sure that we ice this here with another goal with 15 minutes remaining as Radenko Krollo starts to make his way into the opposition half. Fredrik Larsson giving it a lot of space here down the left-hand side. Íþróttafélagið takes a touch and will fire that over the head of the goalkeeper. It looked like either that or in the top left corner, but there is our third goal, and that will surely make sure that we are going to pick up yet another trophy here in Iceland, and it should more or less guarantee that we're going to pick up all 6 trophies available to us in this calendar year, of course, with us only needing 1 point from our last 3 league games, and that makes it 3-0 with 13 minutes left. And just entering the last 10 minutes now, we have a corner which Alessandro Dumbia puts into the mix. So Filippo Donelli gets his head on the end of that into the right-hand corner, and there is the cherry on top. That makes sure that it is 4-0, and as I said, that will pretty much guarantee 6 trophies this season, the 4 domestic ones, provided that we don't absolutely bottle things in those last 3 games domestically in the league alongside the Champions League and the Super Cup. While we're here, we'll also make our last substitution. Íþróttafélagið is on a hat-trick, so we'll leave him on, but Hans Voss can come on for Bayer for these last 9 minutes. Just give him a little bit of game time with a 4-0 lead in this Icelandic Cup final. And we are about halfway into the 3 minutes of injury time. It's been very much one-way traffic and quite a similar game to that first one of the Champions League group stage against Famalicão, really getting on top of Valur there in the second half, and we pick up in the end a pretty comfortable 4-0 win, and as I said, that seals at the very least yet another domestic quadruple, with us only needing 1 more point from those last couple of games in the league season, and also having picked up the Champions League and the UEFA Super Cup as well. That means that we've pretty much more or less already won 6 trophies for this calendar year, so that is quite an achievement here at Völsungur. Certainly our best season so far in this save, and that is completed off the back of a 4-0 win against Valur in the Icelandic Cup final. And back in the inbox off the back of that win in the Icelandic Cup, that means that we have now picked it up for a 12th time, and I'm pretty sure that's somewhere near 10 in a row now as well, so we've got a very good record in this competition. Interesting to see that they're only saying that we're celebrating a quadruple. For some reason, the UEFA Super Cup does seem to have overrode the Champions League there as an achievement, but it should really be a quintuple, and we're pretty close to making it 6 trophies in a season, as I said, just needing one more point from our last 3 games in the domestic league season. But that will do it for today's episode. 2 good wins there in our first game of the Champions League group stage against Famalicão, as well as in that Icelandic Cup final. If you did enjoy today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. Tomorrow we'll just make sure that we wrap things up in terms of that domestic season and do pick up the league title yet again. We'll do a recap of that, and off the back of that, it is completely focusing on the Champions League from that stage 4, and we have 2 away trips coming up in tomorrow's episode. First off, we go to Belgium to take on Ostende off the back of a 1-0 loss in their first game of the group stage, and off the back of that, probably the biggest game, the most threatening game in this group stage for us, as we go in front of the yellow wall and try and beat Dortmund in Germany, albeit we did do that not that long ago in the first knockout round of last season's Champions League. But hopefully we might end up on 9 points from 9 at the end of tomorrow's episode. Even 7 from 9 would not be too bad. Even a draw away there against Dortmund would not be the worst result, but that's what's coming up tomorrow. And until then, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.